Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am so excited. We are going to be dyeing my first ever video game inspired yarn. So here are some of the inspiration photos that I'm working with today. These are from a video game called Bioshock, and these pictures are of the underwater city called Rapture. So we're starting off with about 200 milliliters of a single, of a 1%, there it is, 1% dye stock solution of brilliant yellow, but, well, it's kind of a half and half. It was like half brilliant yellow, half sunflower yellow. So like a yellow mixture, but it's a 1% dye stock solution, and I'm doing about 200 milliliters into a big pot of water with some acid. And then I'm going to pop in 3 skeins. Now the technique I'm doing is the twisted skein technique, where you twist up your skeins, not super tight, you leave them a little loose, and then you put them in the water and it creates like resist so that you have lots of color on the outside, a little bit of penetrated color on the inside, and then some white left over. So my goal was to do this and then retwist them up afterwards and dye them up in another color. And don't you just love those camera angles? Oh, I'm such a pro. I do apologize. I am still learning. I promise I'm going to get better. It's all in a day's work. You know, gotta take it one day at a time. But yeah, so I put the skeins into the pot, and then I left them for about 20 minutes, came back, checked how much color was left, and I'm not too worried about absorbing all the color. I actually decided that I was going to pull another just fresh skein from my stockpile and go ahead and soak up all the remaining color while I work on this process. You know, kind of like a Franken yarn, if you will. So that way I could focus more on just achieving the exact colors that I wanted to in my skeins. And after I checked the color, I wasn't quite satisfied, so I left it for probably about another 20 minutes, and then I came back. You can see that most of the yellow was gone, but there was still a little bit left, and when I checked the skeins, I was like, these are perfect. They have some lighter yellows in the middle, some deeper yellows, with like this burnt yellow look on the outside. It was pretty much exactly what I was going for, so I went ahead and pulled those out, and I'm just setting them into my steamer pan here to rest. Well, I get everything else ready. And I'm going to go ahead and untie these from the skeins, like untwist them, so that way they can cool a little bit faster. And you can see all that white that's still in there as I start to untwist them. Yeah, they came out pretty perfect. This was pretty much what I was going for. It's really pretty yellow. I like all the dimensions in it, and then it had like lots of white left over. Yeah, so I'm really excited for this one because my whole goal with dyeing yarn is to dye up video game inspired yarn. That's the whole reason that I'm starting my dyeing journey, is I wanted some video game inspired yarn, and there's not a whole lot of people who make and sell that. So my decision was I wanted to try it out. And after dyeing yarn with some food coloring a couple times, I really enjoyed the process. So I was like, yeah, this will be really fun. So then I got me some acid dyes. And if you haven't seen it yet, I have my first attempt at acid dyes ever here on the YouTube channel already. And I felt like maybe I was good enough to go ahead and start dyeing some video game inspired yarn. Now I will say these did not quite turn out the way that I wanted them to. You'll see at the end, like they didn't quite, I don't know, they weren't exactly what I was going for, but they do come out really pretty, and for that I'm pretty excited. But yeah, so I went ahead and got these all untangled so they would cool down faster. And then for the little bit of yellow remaining in the pot, I got my Franken skein here. I'm just going to toss him in and let him soak up the remainder of the color. And then our pot will be clear and ready to go for color number 2. So I'm just going to smoosh him down in there. And yeah, this Franken yarn actually came out so perfectly. Like, I cannot express how cool this Franken yarn was. I do have to admit, I have already, I've already decided as soon as he dries, I need to go ahead and cake him up. Yeah, But here we are with a clear pot. And the skein, there were a couple places where it actually still had some white. I was not expecting that. But yeah, so we have a nice, beautiful yellow skein here, ready to absorb the next color. And I'm just going to move him over here to cool as well as our other skeins. So we have our Franken skein and our twisted skeins, and I'm ready to go. So now that I have a clean pot of water, I added a good bit more water and brought that back up to a boil, and then I added some more vinegar. And now I'm going to go in with 200 milliliters of a 1% dye stock solution of Caribbean Blue. So, yeah, there you go. Really pretty color. Went ahead and poured that into the water. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I added just a touch of yellow to give it more of a green hue. But I knew that I was going to do yellow on the skeins as well, so I didn't do very much. But I might have put in a touch of brilliant yellow in that. Alright, so I have retwisted my skeins, and I did them real loose, and they're really prone to falling apart. So I'm trying to place them in here gently, and then I'm also I had to resist the urge a lot to not move them around. But oh, you can already see the green and the blue. Oh, I was so excited. I had a hard time resisting moving those around for sure. But anyways, after about 20 minutes, I checked. There was still plenty of blue in the pot. And this was mistake number 1. I went ahead and pulled out the skein to check the color, and I either forgot or just didn't think about the fact that skeins are a deeper color when wet than what they're going to be when they're dry. So I looked at this, and I think because it was falling apart and I could see the yellows and the white, and then I had like this deep, blue when it was wet, I was like, this is perfect. This is ready to be pulled. I wish I'd left it a little bit longer. The blue is a little too light, and I think if I revisit this again in the future, which I'm thinking I probably will end up doing, that I will have to leave it till it's a little bit too dark when it's wet, because then it will probably be perfect when it's dry. But yeah, so we are definitely learning. There's always something new to learn every day, but you can just see like the blues and the yellows and the whites just, oh, is it not beautiful? This was underwater bliss. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It was perfect. And then here I am just putting my Franken yarn back in the water, and I'm just kind of moving it around. It was kind of bundled up, so I wanted to go ahead and, get a lot of surface area to make sure all that color penetrated the skein. So here I am just shifting it around. But yeah, so now that I have my my twisted skeins, I'm going to go ahead and untwist them again. Now here's where I make mistake number 2. So what I ended up doing, because, those neon signs in there, I picked one of them that had like a reddish pinkish look to it. And I was like, yeah, I'll add like just a little bit of, reddish pinkish color. I'll just dab it in a little bit of the white spots, and I'll create like the neon sign. Well, I made a couple mistakes where, one, I first didn't have enough red, and so it came out really pink and almost purpley on the skein. And then 2, I also went way too heavy-handed. You'll see that here in a minute for sure. But yeah, so I untwisted these skeins, and I'm just spreading them out here in my little steamer pan to give me some room to work on. And I'm trying to get the white areas up towards the surface so that I can go ahead and put my color on the white. And to be honest, these were absolutely beautiful the way that they are. I almost wish that I had stopped here, because what I was going for, this was definitely way closer than what I ended up with. However, I still think the skeins came out really pretty, so no hate on this, for sure, just something I wish I had done. So here I have a little mixture of like some fire engine red and some deep magenta, and I just started dabbing on with this little painter's brush that I had, and I tried to keep it to the white at first, but it was coming out so pink, and it really wasn't red enough, and so I end up trying to dab it into the yellow, You'll see me do it here in a minute, where I was like trying to get more like an orangish color or something, but it wasn't quite going to plan. And then also I went a little heavy-handed on it. You know, when you're having fun and you just kind of go overboard, that's exactly what happened. My whole goal was to do like 2 dabs, and that was it. And I ended up doing like a whole little chunk of the yarn because I was just way too excited. But yeah, here's where you can see I was trying to get it in the yellow, and I kept catching the other string, so I got it in the green and on the blue, and just, it was everywhere. And it creates a multitude of colors because, you know, if you've worked with colors, they tend to blend with each other. So I definitely came out with a lot of colors in these little sections to play with. But yeah, so I tried to dip it into the yellow and tried to create more of like an orangish area, and then I dipped it a little into the blue and embraced the purple. At this point, I kind of realized there wasn't much more I could do. So what I ended up doing was I got some Fire Engine Red, and I figured if I was going to have a mess of a color, I could at least try to make it more red, which is what I was envisioning. So I sprinkled some of that onto the yarn, and then I just go ahead and smoosh it in and like I tried. It didn't work. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. So what I decided to do was first, I went ahead and dipped them into the water and got off all the excess color from the ends and the parts that had the pink and the red, because I wanted to set the skeins in the pot, but I didn't want all that other extra color to get on the rest of the skein. So I just kind of dipped all of them into there and let all that extra color kind of come off onto the Frankenskein. And then once the Frankenskein had absorbed pretty much all the color in the pot, then I went ahead and threw I think I go ahead and remove the Frankenskein, and then I throw in my Bioshock skeins back into the pot to set completely. And I also threw in a little bit of True Black. At this point, my skeins were drying out enough that I could see that blue was going to be way too light. So I figured to darken it up a little bit, I'd do some of the True Black, and I went ahead and reskeined them one last time to try and preserve some of the lighter blues and greens as well. Now, thinking back on it, I wish I had done a little bit more black, but I was really scared to mess up all the pretty, you know, yarn that I've created, so I went a little light-handed on it and came out with more of this really light grayish blue, and I think it came out really nice, but I do wish that I'd gone a little bit heavier-handed. I think that would have made it all the more better. But you know, it's good that I've learned, because this means that in the future I can take these things with me and make even more beautiful skeins. And again, with that beautiful camera work. So yeah, I'm trying to definitely remember that I can take all this stuff with me in the future. So I left these in the pot for about 10 minutes, and then I added the Frankenskein to absorb any extra color that was in there. And from here, I just turned off the heat and went ahead and let it cool down completely. Alright, so here are the finished Bioshock skeins. I think that they came out beautifully, but they are not exactly what I was going for. So yeah, there's that. This one area actually came out really cool. It has a lot more pinks and reds and yellows, and this one came out really neat and is probably the closest to what I was going with that color. This one came out a little bit of red and orange, but primarily a lot of purples and pinks on this one. Definitely pretty colors, just not exactly what I was going for. And then this one, again, a lot more pinks and purples over here. This one had some pinks and a little bit of reddish, kind of. And yeah, somehow I got it a little more offset than the other two skeins, but that's fine. Nothing to worry about there. So yeah, and then that True Black made some of the white parts have like this grayish blue color, which I actually was really digging. And again, I wish I'd done a little bit more of that, but hindsight is 2020, right? Ooh, 2020, not a good year. But yeah, this section right here, this is pretty much what I was going for. These deeper blues and greens and yellows, a little bit of white, just real ocean-like. This is pretty much 100% what I was going for, that one little section. But I got a lot more than I expected, and I think these came out so pretty. Like, I can't really say much else. They're not what I was going for, but they are really gorgeous. I love the colors in them. I love how it almost looks like light coming down from the surface of the ocean. It's beautiful. I am actually really excited to knit with these and see like how they knit up. But here they are skeined up, and I don't know, I can't really get enough of them. As far as the Bioshock yarn I wanted to create, these were kind of a fail. However, just creating yarn in general, these are so pretty, and I'm just ecstatic to knit with them. I don't know what I'm gonna make though. I've been looking for some patterns. I don't know, if you have any pattern suggestions, please drop them down below. I would love to get some advice on what I should make with these, but yeah, I'm real excited. Now, you might be wondering about the Franken yarn, and unfortunately, I forgot to get any pictures of it before I knitted it up. But here it is, knit into a beautiful hat. It's just a honeycomb stitch with a garter decrease and a brim. And I made a little mistake in it. You can just ignore that. But yes, this yarn, oh, it came out so beautiful. Look at this color. Like, it's got little flecks of blue, it's got green, it's got yellow, it's got black, like, specks in it. It came out amazing. And I even thought I had enough yarn to knit another hat, but I did not, so I'll have to do something else with the remainder of the yarn. But yeah, this came out so pretty. As soon as I saw it dry, I immediately caked it up and started knitting with it. Like, I completely forgot to even get pictures or anything. So yeah, here you go. This is the Franken yarn. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I absolutely loved doing this yarn dyeing adventure, and I hope that you will join me for the next one.